Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking our very first look at the new legendary tier Russian cruiser Sevastopol. So, with that being said, let's look at our commander. We're running Nikolai Kuznetsov with Norman Scott and Francesco Membelli. We are running Beyond Range, Intuitive, Punch Through, and Fixated with Fully Packed. Now, I did run another build at one point, which was the Andrew the Lip build. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So this was my other build that I was running, which is Nikolai von Essen and Nikolai Kuznetsov with Piercer, Punch Through, Intuitive, and Hit Them Hard, as well as Refill Station. You can get your reload down to, I think, 17 seconds if you go for this build, the second preset of mine, where we focus on Francesco Membelli and all that. But personally, I didn't like this because it limits your range too much, and trying to get up close and personal on this ship is just obnoxious because everything overmatches you in the lobbies. So it's just not worth it, in my opinion, to try to go closer. Now, the reason I was running the Andrew the Lip build is because as you hit the same target over and over again with AP, which you're going to be firing AP out of this thing most of the time because the AP is very good, and the guns are incredibly accurate. But most of the time, Andrew the Lip just hurt me because I wasn't able to tank the hits necessary at the ranges I had to be at. So I had to be at like 16.5 to 17.5 kilometers in order to tank to hit things. Unless, of course, I just happen to have a friendly nearby that would allow me to use Refill Station's active perk, where we get close to a friendly and it extends my range. But yeah, that's rare, unfortunately, because I never have any teammates that are useful anywhere near me, so it's pretty rare for me to have that actually proc. Hence the reason I went with Fully Packed instead. So, we are running Aiming Systems Mod 1. We're running steering gears. You'll definitely want at least steering gears for this thing, because the steering for the base of this ship is bad. I think it's like 16 seconds, so horrendous for a cruiser. Concealment System Module, obviously, and then of course we're running the Epic Main Battery Mod 3. For every 30,000 damage, we're going to get a little bit faster reload, so makes sense. Alright, loadout. We're running the sonar because defensive AA is kind of pointless. We've got Repair Party. We get 4 heals. These are very good heals, by the way. The reason being, they don't look on paper. 312 per second doesn't look like it's going to be that good of a heal. It's a 60-second duration. To put that into perspective, normally, for like a battleship, it's like 20 seconds duration. So you get 3 times the heal timer. So that's going to catch a lot of people off guard. This thing has a ridiculous ability to heal. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, you get an engine boost. The engine boost is a short engine boost, but it is pretty good. It comes in handy for moments when you need to speed up and avoid shells. Now, I was running an Epic Battle Booster in the match that you're going to see, so keep that in mind. I wasn't in the first. I'm actually going to show you guys 2 different matches, so I hope you guys enjoy. Stick around, watch both of them. One of them will be a shorter match that I cut in like half because it was just waiting around for most of it. And then the other match is going to be the the normal match. But we're running the Hector flag. We are running the Frozen Sevastopol camo. Good Lord, my brain's not working. But survivability with this build is 62,600 with a 34% torp reduction, which is fantastic for a cruiser. Main battery, you get 380 millimeter 52 caliber SKC-34s. I believe these are Bismarck guns, but they don't feel like Bismarck guns. These are rail guns attached to it. But either way, you get 19.1 kilometers of range with this build. That's with running the Epic Battle Booster, so that would normally be probably closer to 18.1 to 18.3, somewhere in that neighborhood. Reload time is 18.8 seconds. Again, you can get that down into the 17s, but I didn't bother. In one match, you'll see it. In the other match, not so much. Main battery turret traverse is 42.5 seconds with this build. It's horrendous, but it doesn't feel as bad as you'd expect. It does. You do notice it specifically when you need to turn and dodge. It can be hard to keep the guns on targets. But shell grouping with this build's insane. 2.23, and that's cruiser dispersion, by the way, for 15-inch guns. Okay, there's a lot of people don't know, but there's a big difference between cruiser dispersion and battleship dispersion. These are battleship guns with cruiser dispersion. I think, or at least battle cruiser. I don't know which, but I think it's cruiser dispersion. But either way, it's absurdly good, is what I'm saying. And for these guns, they will reach out and touch you, so be careful. Uh, if they're built for it, otherwise they're going to be up close and personal. 5,350 maximum HE shell damage with a 34% chance to set fires, and they pin 63 millimeters. These also have a pretty good muzzle velocity as well. They're not fast, but they're not slow, which makes a big difference when shooting at longer distances. These also have a pretty flat shell arc, seemingly, so you can citadel battleships and stuff at further ranges, kind of like, but not quite as good as the Stalingrad can. You know how the Stalingrad can like citadel you from like 20 kilometers. It's absurd. This thing not quite to that level, but it is pretty good. So keep that in mind. AP shell maximum damage initially is 11,300, but with our build 12,430. Again, if you run Andrew the Lip on this thing, it can actually go up throughout the course of the battle. Shooting at the same target over and over again raises your maximum AP shell damage. It is percentage based, so the amount that it goes up is noticeable. But again, 820 meters per second, which is fantastic. 773 millimeters of armor pin at point blank, and then 488. So it does drop off a little bit at distance, but it's still not bad. And of course, the big selling point: these have improved pin angles, 50, 65. So pretty good to have those improved pin angles at least. So you don't need to run Von Essen, is what I'm saying. Normally, for the Germans, you would have to run Von Essen to give you a little bit extra pin angles, or run the what is their battleship perk that they get? Aladad. I think it's Aladad. But anyway, secondaries. You get 100 millimeter 70 caliber SM52s. You get 16 of those doing reaching out to 5.2 kilometers, reloading in 4 seconds, and firing HE with a maximum damage 1,400 with a 6% chance to set fires and 17 mils of penetration. Okay. For your AA, you get 57 millimeter AK-725s. You get 12 of those doing 350 damage per second, reaching out to 4 kilometers. And then 100 millimeter 70 caliber SM52 dual purpose secondaries. You get 16 of those doing 117 damage per second, reaching out to 5 kilometers. So the AA, as you'd expect on the Russian like super cruisers, pretty good. And it's decently like mid to long range AA, so that's really nice. You don't have to wait until they're already bombing you before you start shooting them down. Maximum speed of 34.5 knots with this build. Again, pretty solid for a big cruiser like this. Turning circle, bad. 980 meters, as you'd expect out of the Russian super cruisers, just like Stalingrad. Not a good turning circle. Rudder shift, also battleship-esque, 11.3 seconds, and that's with running steering gears. Like I said, if you don't run steering gears, I'm pretty sure it's like, I thought it was 16, but it might be like 12 or 13. I don't remember. But it's not good, especially for a cruiser. Concealment, 12.6 by sea, so very not good for a cruiser. 7.9 by air. 2 is always guaranteed. 13.3 kilometer smoke firing penalty. Statistics are actually going to look okay. I like the ship. I just don't like playing the ship, and I'll explain that when we get to the actual battles. But 9 battles played, so small sample size, but you can see main gun accuracy of 52%. These guns are laser beams a lot of the time. So keep that in mind. Armor. This is one of the letdowns of this ship. It does have armor belt, or at least appears to. We'll go over that in a minute. But 25 millimeter bow means you're overmatched by basically everything at the tier. The only thing that doesn't overmatch that would be the new Rhode Island. Everything else has at least 15-inch guns. So keep that in mind. You also have very flat armor, which means that even though it's thicker, it a lot of times will just eat penetrations. But let's get rid of the thing and look at the citadel, because I feel like this thing has a pretty large citadel. Okay, so maybe not quite as bad as it feels when it comes to getting citadel, but you do take a lot of citadels in this thing. It is slightly elevated. Any turning is going to make that problem even worse. And then with it being so long and so close to the bow and stern, anybody that overmatches you has the potential to citadel you through the bow and the stern. So kiting away can be problematic as well. It really doesn't like to tank. It can up close and personal. It can absolutely tank, But at ranges and stuff, a lot of times the shells are just going to find ways to get through. At least in my experience so far. Sure shot shells maintain a good ballistic trajectory, which is what we talked about. Greater heal, the thing has an absurd heal, which is very good. Big and flammable, fire set on the ship lasts longer, so that's pretty much the same thing you get with the Stalingrad and the Alaska. And unlike most cruisers that have a short duration fire, the Alaska, the Stalingrad, this thing, have longer duration fires and floods, so keep that in mind. In May of 1940, the Naval Academy hosted tactical games that involved the Project 69 cruiser. Nice. And battleship Scharnhorst and Dunkirk. The event showed that the replacement of 12-inch 305mm guns with German 15-inch 380 guns significantly increases the cruiser's firepower. Later, an agreement was signed with German company Krupp, ordering the delivery of 6 turrets before March of 1943. The turrets were to be mounted on cruisers Kronstadt and Sevastopol, scheduled for launch in 1942, but the outbreak of war canceled these plans. So with all of that being said, this port is cute and all, but I hate how narrow it is because it doesn't allow me to get like my normal flybys and make them look good. I'll probably be switching back over to fjords soon. I just like to keep the new port for a little bit. But with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so this first clip you're going to see is from one of my early battles. I ended up playing a few battles tonight, but most of my games just ended in raffle stomps. But I've got a couple of fun, interesting clips to show you guys. This first one, like I said, is pretty tame. I wait until I'm about to go behind the island. We still can't get a shot on this guy, and this is what I'm talking about with the range. This is why I ended up switching up the build. This original video was with Andrew the Lip. Of course, when I finally do get range, the front guns end up shooting the island, which is real unfortunate. But you can see we got a Montana over here, we got a Yama over here, and as of right now, the Yama is actually playing. It's going to take a while for me to figure out that guy ends up either disconnecting or just leaving. But initially, the gearing does some good things. The battleship is never really going to be a thing in the back, but initially the gearing seems like he's going to be useful by spotting and doing good things. Here you can see I come out from behind my island. I got 2 very big battleships looking at my broadside, and so I hit the button to go faster because it'll catch these guys off guard, right? If they fire their guns right as they see me, which most people do, then I'll just simply outrun their shells. But you can see that we're getting good damage shooting at these battleships, even at longer ranges, every time we shoot because of the improved pin angles, and just not trying to go for the massive hits right off the bat, but just get as many shells on target as possible. Aiming for the upper side plating, superstructure areas whenever I can. But then we get shots like this over top of the island where we just take the auto aim, adjust it slightly, and then we get a good hit on him. And we're up to 32,000 damage. Now I'm going to skip forward until we go to the next part because I just got tired of waiting for these teammates. You can see the Montana's pushing forward, and I go to make my play because I saw the Worcester was broadside to me, right? And I figure I can get rid of the Worcester. But the Yama's disconnected in the one spot that's going to allow this Worcester to spot me coming around the corner, which is real unfortunate. But you can see as I look at him, his guns are pointed the wrong direction. So I'm like, well, if that's the case, then I don't care. I'm just going to go murder this Worcester. So here, he's angled pretty well. We're going to go superstructure to get as much as we can, maybe knock out a gun. You can see most of our shells still derped into armor, even though I was trying to aim high enough to get above that. But, you know, sometimes you're going to have that on these big jobs. But Worcester starts shooting at me with HE initially, but immediately switches to AP, which tells me this guy knows what he's doing. Because if you give a Worcester a chance, it can shred you with AP. So notice I'm respecting that. I'm looking over my shoulder, making sure that Montana doesn't give a that I exist. And then the Worcester's going to make a fatal flaw here. He's going to just over-angle. And we're going to go right through the cheek with 15-inch guns, and that's going to be a wrap. You're done, sunshine. But now you can see I'm still looking. Yama's secondaries are going off, but he's still looking away from me, so he's not a threat. I'm going to go ahead and shoot at the Montana while I can. Again, his guns are looking away from me, which is perfect. I don't have to worry about him shooting me. I do aim a little bit off here. I should have aimed a little higher. The secondaries from the Yamato still coming in. Our destroyer is going to land some good torpedoes on him. We get 1 shell out of 6 to hit the target there, which is unfortunate. Could have had a bigger hit there. But, yeah, it's just me being a goof. But Yama, I mean, who thinks that I'm going to be able to dev strike this Yama with one salvo from these guns? Okay? Everybody should. The Yama's already lost a fourth of his health, or a quarter of his health. So we simply wait till the angle is perfect, and then we shoot our front gun, and the second gun, and the third gun. Yeet. 5 out of 6 citadels. What more can you ask for? Yeah, that was what you could expect out of a supercruiser coming in and slapping around a battleship up close and personal. I've done it with pretty much every supercruiser in the game, whether it be the French supercruisers, the American supercruiser, the Russian supercruisers. It don't matter. Like, any supercruiser is armed with battleship caliber guns. So if you get into a situation like that, you're going to be feeling it. Now, I was going to shoot the Mino here, but then I'm like, okay, well, Mino's going behind the Incomparable. I just want to get the shot off. So I shoot for the Incomparable, aiming high because I know he's got a belt. We get a huge hit. 4 out of 6 shells landing. And then as I'm sitting here going, well, I might let him heal up a little bit, then Mino gets dev struck, and I'm like, well, so much for that idea. I guess we'll shoot the Incomparable again. But this time he is angled a little bit more, so we go higher. Unfortunately, our shells still don't manage to find a lot of damage. And then this guy's going to just get farmed. He did heal, but unfortunately the defense and the Incomparable are going to do their thing. He's going to go down. Now you'll notice that with Intuitive, I can see the direction of the closest enemy ship, which is the destroyer. We know that he's off of our 11 o'clock or so. So I am trying to put myself, not a direct path towards the destroyer, but I want to put myself on the outside edge of the destroyer to cut off his ability to run away. Right? A lot of people will go straight at the destroyer, but you've got to understand where your team are, okay? And then what is the destroyer's most likely avenue of getting out of that spot, right? And it is pretty simple. We're going to get into the cap, we're going to move over towards the right, and try to seal him in so that he can't run away. We don't want to have him take a chance of getting behind us and then torping the crap out of us, right? We are running our sonar here, and we're trying to make pretty good turns and stuff to throw off the torpedoes, but I will give this destroyer credit. He actually is pretty patient with his torpedoes, and he lines me up pretty good twice. But as we push towards the edge of the cap, you'll see he does get spotted here, so 151,000 damage. We're going to try to hit him. And again, you don't have to leave very much with these, especially at close ranges. And we absolutely smash him. But you can see the torps are coming. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's not ideal. He actually planned for the turn. But thankfully, he dies before those ever get to us. Not that they're like the scariest torps in the world, but it still would have hurt if he'd have hit me with enough of them. But 156,000 damage, high caliber, dev strike, top of the leaderboard, 2,545 base XP. And now we're going to get into the main event. We're going to be on Riposte, or Riposte. But we're going to be in the north spawn, and we're going to try to be a little bit more patient in this one than I have been in other matches, because I'm sick and tired of watching my teams use me for bait. Seems like that's all anybody does anymore. They find the nearest island and they hide, and I want you guys to pay attention to exactly what happens in this match. First of all, we've got a division on the enemy team. It's got a Wassa guy and a Pain guy. 2 guys that should know what they're doing, so we got to keep an eye out for them and what they do during the match, right? So, other than that, it's a pretty standard match, nothing too crazy. So I'm going to try to put myself in a position. I don't want to go in front of the island, because, again, with this build, I actually have range. Rather than shooting at 17 kilometers or less, I'm allowed to sit out to 19 kilometers, which gives you a lot more options in terms of being able to maneuver this ship so that you don't get sent to the Shadow Realm immediately. However, as is most of the time that I play this game, the folks around me, other than the Des Moines, Des Moines' a good dude. Me and him end up talking for a good chunk of the match. He sounds German. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he sounds German. He called out the Holland in speaking German, I'm pretty sure. And the only part of the entire thing, I was like, brother, I have no idea what you just said, other than something about the Holland. And then he started speaking English, and I'm like, man, I'm glad you got English, because I legitimately am a dummy. I can only barely speak English, let alone learn German. But Grosse Kurfürst is just, again, textbook battleship captains, man. I don't understand why battleships are so fucking scared. Like, I really don't. Like, we showcase battleship gameplay all the time, right? All the time. And yet, every single time that I'm not in a battleship, I have to do everything because my battleships are completely incompetent or just scared to death to get their paint scratched. It's ridiculous, right? It gets obnoxious when you're in a cruiser, especially like this. Like, while this thing does have armor, it's not meant to tank all of the enemy's battleships while everybody else just sits behind islands, right? Like, that's not its role. Its role is a sniper. It's not particularly good against destroyers, but it absolutely punishes broadsides if it gets the opportunity. And so I don't want to be the front line of defense. I don't want to have to spot all my own ships. I don't want to have to tank everybody on the team. That's not what this ship is good at. This ship is a sniper, right? That's what it does. But you'll see here we get a beautiful shot into the superstructure of the Frederick de Grosse. And again, that's where I think a lot of people are going to be happy with this ship. If you like supercruiser style gameplay, you're going to love this ship. You just will. It feels good in the hands. But the problem is, it only has 6 guns. Okay? Despite being incredibly accurate 99% of the time, seemingly, you will still have those shells where you just pull the trigger and you just watch every shell go exactly where it has to avoid the enemy that you're shooting at. And that's just a product of only having 6 guns. You have 6 guns, that's it. So you've got to keep that in mind, right? You also got to understand when and when not to go broadside to get all full broadside away. Remember, when you shoot your rear turrets, you're only adding 50% more firepower, which is only 2 more shots, right? 2 more guns. So it's not always worth it to go broadside to get that extra turret off, right? So keep that in mind. A lot of people are going to get caught out by that. But unfortunately, our Gdansk goes down. And the enemy Frederick de Grosse, again, we have bullied this guy. Our teammates have bullied this guy. We're going to put ourselves in a good position here. And look how flat those shells are. Just barely creeping over the top of the mountain. And they're going to hit with a force that poor little Frederick de Grosse was not ready for. But we come around the corner, and this is what I was talking about. Like, there's a Karl here, right? There's an Aki in the far back of the map, which is not as scary, honestly, because, again, he's so far away that it's not that big of a threat to me. His torpedoes aren't really a threat. Right now, the biggest threat to me is this Karl, right? So I just turn, and I want to angle away from him. This does 2 things. One, it allows us to have all of our guns in play, and yet still have protection of an armor belt. Remember, Karl's guns are not massive, right? So if we can just get him to, you know, think he's got some shots and then make him essentially look silly, then what we end up with is a situation where we're out-trading him massively. But Frederick de Grosse, we got another shot here. Unfortunately, the moment I shoot at him, the Louisiana managed to kill him. But paying attention to where... I love that they all shot me again. But it's to be expected. There's nobody else to shoot. Who are they going to shoot? I've got 3 different battleships, all of which are behind islands right now. And I've got a Des Moines who's also behind an island. Now, we know there's a destroyer out here, right? But we also know the Karl's here. So we're going to keep farming the Karl, knock out his guns. And that's another thing this thing can be really good at, is knocking out turrets. These guns seem to knock out turrets pretty consistently. I've had it happen to me against a Sevastopol on North, and you can see the destroyer does get spotted here, and unfortunately, I'm already shooting at the Karl, right? Like, I didn't see it on the minimap until after I fired, and then I'm like, okay. And this is about the time he gets into the chat and says something about the Holland in German. I'm assuming he says, why isn't anybody shooting the Holland? That would be my guess. But Karl makes the decision to go broadside here, immediately regrets it as everybody on our team just farms him, and then I'm going to get another big hit here. Or at least I thought I did. Didn't end up getting a big hit at all. Only landed 2 shells and only one of them did damage. But he gets another couple of shells at us. Again, just nothing. Like, what is he going to do? But this destroyer is going to get on my freaking nerves. Now, I don't know if the Des Moines had already radared. I didn't see the radar. But you can see, I go ahead and turn on my sonar. I'm going to try to farm the Aki here as he's showing a favorable angle. And we want to go high initially because he is angled against us and has a really thick belt. So we want to take what he gives us. But then he starts to open the angle a little bit. And I'm going to try to snipe his citadel, right? So we're going to try to hit it. And you can see I didn't quite lead him enough there. But we're trying to go for that cheek shot because he's over-angled right now. And you can see my teammates are just absolutely wrecking him, as you'd expect. But what I didn't expect was that the destroyer doubles back. Like, I thought that he was going to go out to the right, but you can see clearly the torpedoes are right in front of me. And so we're going to get hit with one. Of course, that's going to cause a flood. And then I'm going to not damage control because I know that was only one rack of torps. I know he's got another set of torps, right? Like, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just hold because this thing has a short duration damage control, which means bad things if you get set on fires or flood, right? The good news is it's got a huge heal, so it doesn't really matter because you can heal all that back. But you've got to keep that in mind if you have the potential to get set on fire or whatever. And that's about the time I get hit here, and I think I end up like damage controlling the flood, and because he gets a fire here, and I'm like, okay, we'll just damage, and then I get the torps immediately. And you can see it's only like 4 seconds. As soon as I hit the button, I'm going to end up getting a permaflood against me here, and we take 3 torpedoes. Thankfully, they're Holland torps, so they don't really do any damage. But they do cause a flood, and that flood is going to be permanent, right? Our Z-52 gets in there and starts slinging it out with the Holland. Holland's got help with me, and the Z-52 has help with me in the Des Moines. Des Moines finishes them off, which is huge. And again, look at the position of all 3 of my battleships. They ain't moved. They ain't moved. They still have not moved. We are 8 minutes into this match almost, and 3 battleships are still hiding behind islands doing absolutely nothing. Now, I'll give the Louisiana some credit, because the Louisiana is the one that's going to actually move forward, but Kerfer's full health ain't done nothing for the entire game. Not a thing. But you'll see that we do see the Pain guy here in the Montana, and I've got to be careful here. I am setting up a cheeky crossfire, or at least that's my goal. And what I want to do is get out on the flank and be able to snipe these guys' broadsides, as they are inevitably going to have to bow tank my team. Look at where my battleships are headed. They're all headed to the same location, into the center of the map, right? We have a 200-point... Look at that accuracy, though. Good God. That was all of our shells except one hitting the target, even though some of them hit armor, but still hit all the shots, right? But with everybody going to the same location, Des Moines going to the middle, the 3 battleships are all going towards the middle. So everybody's going to bow tank that, and that's going to allow me to get a crossfire of dreams. Problem is, the Montana actually knows what he's doing. He knows I'm out here, and so he just parks himself behind an island where I can't shoot him. Unfortunately for him, he's got everything that can possibly ruin his life sitting in front of him right now, so it doesn't matter if he tries to avoid me giving him damage or not. He's going to go down. And the weird thing is, like, despite all of this, you can see I get another shot, trying to get a sneaky shot over the island, but the Keys torpedoes come in and finish them off. And we are getting close to having another heal, but look how much we heal back. That's what I'm talking about with that fire and flooding damage. Even if you get one flood or one fire, like, it ain't as bad as it used to be. Sometimes you just let that stuff go and then hold on to your damage control for a more, like, a worse situation, a more favorable situation where you might want that damage control. But you can see we can just heal all of that back. It might take a little while to heal it all back. It's not like a Conqueror heal or an Incomparable heal where it all comes back immediately, seemingly. But over time, you can heal an incredible amount of HP back. So that's what we're going to do. And there's 3 ships left. I'm going to try to push up this right flank, try to get in behind the enemy Charlie Cap, again, to set up a crossfire, right? My team is over in the middle, but here's the problem. All of my teammates went to the same location, right? Here's the problem with that. Because they're all in the same location, they're very easy to avoid, right? Despite them going into the cap and doing good things, the enemy knows where they are, and then I'm suddenly going to be the one that ends up coming back and being the target of opportunity for everybody, because the destroyer is going to try to spot me for some reason, and all of their battleships are going to be able to hide behind islands. So you can see their destroyer is coming back here. Shout out to the friendly Des Moines again, but you can see, take a shot at the Montana's broadside. This is going to show you just how strong these guns really are. The Montana at range, and we still slapped him. 4 full pins, one of them being a Citadel, bringing us up to 120,000 damage. So you can see that I like the ship. But again, it relies so much on teammates being confident. You can see I lose a gun here, and I want you guys to pay attention to the minimap, because there's an island that's going to become a problem here in a minute. Just off of my, about 3 o'clock right now. But you can see, good communication from our Des Moines says he's about to radar the enemy daring. So I'm already ready to shoot him. I've got my guns aimed at him. Of course, we've got AP, unfortunately, but still, it's 4 AP, 15-inch AP shells going through the prop shaft of the daring. And he's going to get another one of these. I probably should have loaded HE for the second shot, but I don't think about it sometimes. Sometimes it's just natural for me to stick with AP. But we get another good hit against him, landing three good shells out of the full salvo. Napoli and the Montana are starting to become a problem, right? And now I'm worried that the enemy daring is going to be dropping like single file torps at me. So we got to try to get out of here. We don't want to sit here. And we're going to not be able to drop spot because the enemy daring is going to keep us spotted. So as unfortunate as it is, we're going to try to turn away, get behind the island to avoid any potential torpedoes, but also eliminate that crossfire that's set up right now with their ships being able to shoot from behind the island. Now, fortunately, we end up running aground here, which probably, I don't know if it saves our life, but it definitely helped. As the Montana takes another shot over the island at us, and it was pretty good accuracy, so fortunately we didn't have to take any more damage. But Montana is still just begging for it over there. I'm waiting for these slow turrets to get back around. He does hit me with a couple of good pins right through the deck. We're going to try to get around the island. You can see there was wide spreads from the daring, so nothing too bad to worry about. He does do a lot of damage to us, though, with the HE shells into the superstructure. Again, just showcasing he knows what he's doing. But we're going to go ahead and get behind the island and start to relocate and try to apply the pressure on the Montana, as our gross occur first, I believe, suddenly decides he wants to play the game and is now going to go on the outside of the island. 105,000 or 115,000 hit points, depending on which build you go with. And the gross occur first hasn't been touched the entire game. So now he's going to come around the corner and actually be a problem for that Montana. And I get to kind of sit back here and give them a taste of their own medicine for a change, right? So now I finally get to use an island to shoot these guys, and they can't really do anything about it. Of course, I say that as I get spotted by the enemy destroyer. I got to wait for the island to clear, and then we're going to go for the big hit here on the Montana. And again, look at the accuracy, y'all. It's nasty. It really is. And then we get a pretty good result out of it. Not the Citadel I was hoping for, especially considering he was turning towards us. But again, this is 15-inch guns at range. I'm not expecting to get home runs every time I pull the trigger, right? They're capable of it, but it's not necessarily going to happen every time. But again, another 7,600 damage, and he goes down. But the destroyer is going to be kind of annoying here at the end of the game. He's just going to kind of play. You're not winning this game. There's less than 2 minutes left. You've got 400 point disadvantage. Go down swinging. Like, I'm not saying you got to throw yourself away, but like, at least start firing your guns and shooting the rest of the game until you die, because there's no reason to drag this out any further, right? And you can still dodge. I'm not saying that you can't. And he is going to eventually fire his guns and stuff. It's kind of annoying to sit here and wait for the guy to get lit up. He fires his guns. Of course, he's going to drop smoke and try to get away. You can see I did load HE, and this is one of those shells or one of those shots that just irritates you, because I placed that perfectly. He did nothing to dodge it because I aimed exactly where I wanted to. I knew where he'd be, and all my shells just went all around him. Those are the shots that just make you question life choices. But they're going to happen, and you've seen the accuracy out of this thing, so you know it's not necessarily going to happen very often. But when it does, it will annoy the crap out of you. But either way, we're waiting for the guy to get spotted again, and he's just going to come out the back. He's going to start firing his guns again, but he's at range. And didn't place this shot very well. Of course, this one's the one that's going to get a torp tube and AA. So again, showcasing why I don't shoot HE at destroyers all that often from battleship caliber guns, because just most of the time they end up just laughing at you. But 155,930 damage. Again, we get fourth on the team. He gets a massive game out of it. But Des Moines, shout out to him. Good game. But overall, I like the ship. I just don't like that it forces me to have to rely on my teammates so much, because we all know that that's a bad recipe. So let me know what you guys think about this thing down in the comments below. Do you know which ship you're going to choose, whether it's going to be the Rhode Island or the Sevastopol? Let me know that too. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.